Hello, and welcome. We are here for another really exciting Game 3 of the Link to the Past 2019 Fall Tournament. I am joined here by my good friend Swerve. Swerve, how are you doing today, bud?
I am doing fantastic, Lanxion. How are you doing?
I'm very excited for this race tonight. We have two really good runners over here. We have Julloninja coming down on your left side of your screen and ChelseyxLynn up on your right here. This is, as I said before, this is Game 3. This is going to be the winner of this is going to go on to face Trinex in the top part of the winner's bracket, and the loser is going to slide on down and face off against Emosar. So this is critically important to get another win under their belt for both of these runners. Just to kind of give you a background on some of these people, Julloninja is he's sixth out of the qualifying races. Right now it's 1-on-1, so like I said, an established runner on his own right. We have ChelseyxLynn on the right. She's the 127th. But that didn't stop her from taking a game up Julloninja today. So I'm really excited to see kind of how this concludes. And I don't know, you have any expectations, any thoughts on how this match is gonna play out for us, Webb?
I mean, it's obviously just way too early to tell. Like you said, Julloninja's 6th seed. That's really high up. And Chelsea really down near the bottom at 127 out of 1. But it's random. Anything can happen, as was evidenced in the last game where Chelsea took away the win. So I'm just kind of excited to see how this plays out.
Absolutely, for sure. No, before we really get started, make sure that you're watching two of the top 128 runners in this tournament. They had to go through a rigorous 5 races to get themselves here. So make sure you're following them if you're really excited about looking at good randomizer content. I know both of you have some other backgrounds, some other stuff. I know Chelsea has some NMG, Joe, and just a lot of other categories in this. So it's going to be pretty awesome here. So yeah, we're going to get started right away.
Okay. We got different starts, so that's great. Chelsea finding bombs in Link's house. Those bombs are something you want to find super early on, so you can check the bombable walls in Kakariko.
Oh boy, I always love watching the runners kind of do these split starts, so we can kind of get to see a little more information for us, but a little helpful to kind of see how they're going to play this seed out. Bombs are always super important, like you said, and kind of finding a weapon is another thing that both these runners want to be looking at.
And yeah, I mean, it's pretty likely they'll just switch over and check these locations that the other one's checking pretty soon. But it could, lead to an early lead here, depending on how things are laid out, because those bombs can make a big difference. Like if Jullo has to go down and buy them or something. But it's also possible he might just do a save and quit down to Link's house after checking this.
Yeah, it's from watching a lot of these tournament matches, I'm seeing so many different starts. Now, sort of, do you have an open you like to do every time? Do you like to kind of change it up a bit? How do you feel about starting these?
I would say like most often I do start in Sanctuary, and then I will check that chest and check the two locations of wood there that Jullo checked. And then if I don't have bomb, and I'll do check maybe some tree poles. I might check Lumberjack Cave as well. And if I don't have bombs, I'll probably save and quit down and head to Link's house, and then open that chest and head over and check out South of Grove for bomb drops as well. But yeah, there's a lot of different ways you can approach it. I like to switch it up too, just to kind of keep your opponent on your toes. There's a glove and a quake in Kakariko well. That glove could it's gonna open up some stuff early on here. But yeah, this is kind of where not having bombs at the beginning can hurt you a little bit, because he had to just leave that well without checking the bombable wall. It might not be anything important. It's probably not, honestly, with these here 0 locations, but leaving that one location here, leaving this bombable wall here, like you're bleeding a little bit of time early on, and that's not a great way to start.
You say when you start these seeds up, the routing isn't super important in terms of, because both runners are going to check all of Kakariko, both runners are going to check kind of South Shore, Link's house, that, but you're just going to bleed 20-30 seconds here from kind of routing it without these bombs. So bombs are incredibly important. So Chelsea's going to be able to full clear the top. She's only going to need 3 bombs to clear Kakariko, so it should be okay. And she's going to find some of the cash at some point as well. So she's going to be able to buy from the merchant, and so she's looking like she's in a pretty good setup doing the north to south route there.
And yeah, that's the last little check for Jullo before he has to go commit to buying bombs in the shop over. If he wants to clear these last 3 locations in CAC. That's what it looks like he's doing. And yeah, that's kind of... It's not a big deal. Like, it's pretty minor overall. And then... bombs
the irony,
in...
right?
Yeah, it seems to happen so often.
There's just so many bombs to see. They're everywhere, right?
Yeah, and they're always hidden behind these bomb walls in CAC. Although that's probably just, you know, selective memory.
Recency bias, how many times you've kicked yourself for having to buy bombs and getting free edition.
But yeah, walking to the shop is a little slow. Overall, you know, at the end of the day, it's probably not going to matter unless, you know, the race comes down to a 20-30 second gap. But I know, at least personally, every time I've kind of had to encounter the situation that Jullo's in, I feel bad for being like, you know, 4 minutes in and I've already wasted like 20 to 30 seconds for just having to walk around back and forth like CAC over like a couple extra times.
Yeah, you start getting that little bit of panic, being like, oh, maybe I'm already a little bit behind, which is like, it's really not that big of a deal, like you said. Every little bit of it adds up. So I was like, so for some of the newer players kind of watching what we're doing here, for the first part of the game, for the first 15, 20 minutes, both these runners are going to be looking for items that are going to give us access to the Dark World. So things like gloves for 1 power upgrade or a second one. Oh, that's a nice Cutco coming in there. Gloves or a second power upgrade like the power mitts or hammer, things like that. A moon pearl allowing you actually to exist in the Dark World. So, these things are going to be what we're looking for in the early game, trying to clear as many checks as efficiently as possible while kind of looking for some items to get ahead. So any other items you find will be kind of a markers to tell us where we want to be going, whether it be Eastern, whether it be up on the Hera. It's very interesting for this seed now because we did get a map check off Julloninja here that all 3 Light World dungeons are pendant, so we're going to be need to going into them. That kind of changes how they want to do things. If they get bow, if we're going to Eastern, that kind of thing. So we'll kind of see what they. Nothing really too exciting except for the gloves here in Kakariko.
Yeah, nothing immediately helpful, really, other than the gloves. Ooh, and the second medallion, the Bombus medallion on library. So these medallions could come into play later. Yeah, as you mentioned, there's the 3 Light World dungeons are all crystals, so we're gonna need to beat all of those. And it's always interesting to me when you have the 3 crystals for the Light World dungeons, just because that means 3 pendants in the Dark World, and so that information becomes very valuable because finding out what those pendants in the Dark World are really going to help you kind of figure out what items you're going to need to ultimately finish the game. As for rule of variations, I don't believe there are any for this race. I believe we're just 7-7 normal Ganon stat. Just straight up vanilla settings. Okay,
getting a head start on his Sphere 1 item here, using the gloves to check the back of his skate.
Ooh, and yeah, that hook shot has a very nice early item. That's going to open up several locations on Death Mountain once he makes his way up there. It's also very useful for stuff like this. It makes it a little bit easier to get around in these dark rooms when there's things you can hook shot to. It insta-kills a lot of the enemies down here. It's great for stunning. It's just a very, very nice item to have early on in the game.
Joel seemed to having a little bit of a time in these dark rooms. I'm going to navigate all the way back through the Dark Cross, hopefully, to see if he can pick up another item to gain. I mean, this is not in logic, but maybe it gives him the edge over something that Chelsea hasn't checked.
Yeah, well, meanwhile, Chelsea's heading down and just scoping out the South Hyrule here. We're going to see 5 items in Moldorm Cave here, while Jullo's fumbling around in the dark. As you mentioned, not in logic, but it is nice to kind of try to efficiently route. And so you don't want to double dip, but just finding a big 20 for his troubles. Meanwhile, Chelsea finding the cape in Moldorm Cave. So you mentioned we're looking for a few key items for Dark World access. We're looking for gloves, we're looking for the hammer, we're looking for the Moon Pearl. Unfortunately, the other end of the spectrum is the Aga Tower route into the Dark World, which the cape could be hinting towards. We would still need to find a sword and the lamp to put that in logic, though.
I always have a little pit in my something drops in the pit of my stomach every time I pick up Cape. I'm like, oh, it's gonna be another Agassi, another 5 minutes wasted. That stupid.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. To me, the big stress around Egg Tower always comes around like if you end up doing it and your opponent does it. But like, if you get locked into an Agassi, I don't mind. Like once I know for sure, it's no big deal.
Well, that's the problem. So like with the Agassis is that you generally try to clear everything in the hopes that you get to skip Aghanim. So you get to have you're checking all these really odd one-off checks sometimes, or do you kind of make the decision to skip some of those items as well? It could bite you. Just a lot of uncertainty in these possibly Agassi.
Okay. Seeing in chat there, on correcting us that it is actually 6 crystals fast Ganon. So that means we need 6 crystals to open Ganon's Tower, 6 crystals to make Ganon vulnerable. And fast Ganon means we don't actually have to clear Ganon's Tower and kill Aghanim, which likely means we won't see Ganon's Tower at all unless our players need to go in there to find like a Master Sword or something to actually be able to kill Ganon.
Kind of some interesting routing from Chelsea over here using the fake flippers glitch to get over here and turn in this mushroom, hopefully kind of checking another Sphere 1 location, seeing if we can find any signposts towards the rest of the seed.
Yeah, absolutely. That route to the Witch's Hut, either fake flippering or if you have the flippers, just swimming and taking that whirlpool is the fastest way to get over to the Witch's Hut unless you have the flute. Turning that in, just getting 300 big ones. It's actually pretty nice if she wants to walk up here, which it seems like she's going to go do, and talk to our boy Zora. He's going to cost 500 rupees to check that location, and so that gave her enough money, and it's in logic with that glove.
I was like, and coming up here though, this is a bit of a tough routing decision because she's going to be able to check Zora here. She's going to be able to check the Zora ledge, but she's not going to be able to access any of this. I don't think with any of the current items that she has, she can activate any sort of fake flippers around the screen. Hopefully, the trip up the Zora, while costly in time, hopefully it pays off for her.
Yeah, she was able to check that Zora River ledge there to see that it's just a big 20. So she doesn't have to worry about that. Unfortunately, there's the 2 items hidden behind the waterfall there that she will not be able to. So those are kind of going to be left behind. So we'll see if that comes into play, if she has to make a return trip up here later.
Just a full heart. I mean, good for survivability, but I'm not sure if that's exactly what she was hoping to find. So now we're in a very interesting situation. Like a lot of the higher density item spots have been checked out. So it's like, do you go and check you can do the back of Escape, the full front of it, or you can head over to Sahashlazov. So they got a couple more pretty dense location item spots to check. But outside of that, if we're not finding anything there, we're starting to look for like maybe a light source of something to get us through Agassi because the item locations are starting to dry up pretty quickly.
Yeah, we see Chelsea checking the back of Escape here, so she's going to get herself that hook shot. Jullo finally heading over here and checking out Uncle, which is what Chelsea kind of opened with. And then we'll see. It looks like he's going to try to head into the front of Escape because there are some items left there. So he's going to have to kind of clear this out with bombs because he doesn't really have another viable weapon. But when you have the hook shot, I guess he also has a boomerang. So when you're easily able to stun the guards in the front of Escape, it makes the bomb clear not very difficult. So, and we did already find the map in the back. I'm not sure if we saw the small key.
Yeah, we did get the small key already.
Oh yeah, because he came from the back, right?
Yeah, so we're looking for just straight items here. So each one of these could potentially be the next I am looking for.
Yeah, so we're going to see there's 3 checks left here in the front of Escape, so we're going to see those on Julio's side. First one's a big 20. Meanwhile, Chelsea checking the back of Saucerella there, picking up that magic. Looks like she's going to stroll into Eastern where she'll be able to pick up another 2 or 3 items.
We're both at even odds for items we've checked. They both, I think Chelsea has the Zora item checked, and Jullo is heading out through here. So I think the difference is kind of like the bombless route that Jullo is on, and the Zora heart check here. So we're probably going to see a lead from one of these two runners based on the items they find in each of the spots they've decided to check.
Yeah, for sure. The other option too that is available to both of these players ever since they found the glove, and became pretty appealing once they found the hookshot too, is they could sequence break up to Death Mountain. Death Mountain logically requires either the lamp or the flute to get up there. But with the glove, you can just walk through the dark if you know the way, which is a pretty easy cave to. And then that hookshot gets you over to East Death Mountain, which gets you access to 8 checks. But also at this point, with as few locations as each of these players have on the lower part of the overworld, it kind of makes sense to search these out because you know you're going to find some kind of progression, whether it be that lamp or flute or something to open up Egg a Tower.
It looks like Jullo. Yeah, Jullo got the short end of the stick here, so he's gonna have to come up to here. So his item locations are. He can go to Eastern like Chelsea's going, or he's going to check the Agina Cave, and then I think that is probably it at the moment for his checks.
Yeah, I do believe these are the last locations left in Logic for our players. So we'll see which one pays off.
I think I like the idea of going to check these last checks because even if you do find something up on Agnes on the cave up there, you won't be able to clear out Hera or anything like that. Your checks are just the 8 checks in Paradox Cave, which they require the lamp or the flute to get done.
Oh, hello! There's the mitts for Chelsea in the Eastern Palace big chest. She's gonna save and quit after that.
Oh, that is fantastic. So. That looking like to be the choice here. Both of them kind of last locations of items.
It's definitely a nice find. That doesn't open up any immediate progression over the normal glove. But Jullo actually doing this rarely seen strat under this rock here is this little money cave. All of these spots have a blue rupee worth 5 rupees under here, and he's farming up some money for Zora.
Now, so this is an interesting place. So thinking as Chelsea is now going to decide to go up and do that sequence break to get up here. Now, maybe her thought is either one of the items that has to be here is either something that gives us the Dark World access, like the hammer or something like that on Agina, or it's the lamp. You think that maybe she's just trying to bypass that and go check out the 8 locations we mentioned before?
Yeah, I would say actually, given Chelsea's situation, this is almost 100% the right call. Because at this point, she does have mitts, which does let her open up the black rocks that open up Dark World portals. However, without the Moon Pearl, she can't do anything in the Dark World. So unless Jullo is going to find the Moon Pearl right here.
Oh,
well. All right, so this could potentially be bad.
But now Jullo does still need to go over, and he's going to have to take a trip to Eastern to get his mitts as well.
Yeah, in the end, things will probably kind of even out here. But we'll see. Chelsea could find something up here that might lead her astray. It's hard to say. Oh, Jullo hasn't turned into Mushroom yet. Okay, so yeah, he wanted to farm up money so he could basically do the same little thing that Chelsea. Unfortunately, he doesn't know that mushroom is going to give him 300 rupees, and he could have saved a good chunk of time over farming, because that cave strat, it's fast when you don't have any other options.
I feel so bad for Jullo because this is the same man, right, who's in Kakariko. He buys bombs to bomb that hut and finds bombs. So he farmed 300 rupees, and now he's just going to find that same 300 rupees he needed. So he's on the short end of the stick for a lot of this.
Yeah, he's bleeding time in a bunch of these little things here, and just getting unlucky is really what's happening. And it seems like Chelsea was having trouble navigating that dark cave up to Death Mountain there, it can be hard to navigate when you don't have like a sword. A sword really makes it very easy to track Link's movement in the dark. But she was kind of just shooting out the hook shot and seeing which direction. Like, all you can really do with the hook shot is kind of face different directions, shoot it, and see if it comes out at all. If you're right next to the wall, it won't come out. And then if it does come out, you can kind of see how far it goes and try to kind of gauge where you are by where it tinks off of walls. But she got a little stuck there, which is likely going to work out in her favor because she just gave up, and now she's going to come here and grab that Moon Pearl, and now she has Dark World access, which kind of is when the seeds really start to blow wide open.
Yeah, so the thing that kind of kicked Jewel in the face, so he checked the back Sahashla pretty quickly, which makes going over to Eastern such an unprofitable play later on. So now he's checking all these other locations, so he's going to end up last location in these myths just because of his early play, of his early routing decision. Things like this early stuff only kind of loses or gains you a couple minutes, but it's going to be the difference in that Chelsea gets to go there to the Dark World now and kind of start her mid.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, like each of these little things, they just start to add up, which is when it becomes a problem. Like each little thing individually, not too big of a deal, especially as we mentioned, like the difference in seeds here, like Jullo being 6th seed and Chelsea being 127th, means that Jullo's generally going to have like the execution advantage. So it's when he starts bleeding time to all these little things, when they start adding up, is when things start to look bad for him.
So we ended up getting a really nice check on there with the Swamp Palace and so I'm looking at chat here. The Swamp Palace and Thieves Town being our reds, and Ice Palace and Mire being solidly pendant dungeons. It would be exciting because Mire just requires the flute, which you may never need. It's very similar to that dungeon, so hopefully we never need to see that. But so I'm pretty excited about that. I mean, Thieves Town being a pet, the only dungeon you can logically kind of finish right off the bat when you go to the Dark World, no matter what you have. It's awesome to always have that as a crystal that you can just take care of right out of the way.
It's ironic that you say that because it's actually not completable right now for Chelsea because she doesn't have a weapon that can damage blind.
Stick my foot in my mouth seconds after I start talking.
Unfortunately, yeah, you need either the hammer, you need a sword, or you need one of the canes to actually be able to do damage to blind. He's not affected by bombs or hookshot or boomerang or any of the stuff that is currently in Chelsea's inventory. That being said, it's still probably worth going in here to at least check these front 4 chests. You got to check these front 4 to kind of hunt for the big key anyway. It's going to be pretty quick. She can just death warp out. We'll kind of see how she decides to approach this situation. Meanwhile, Jullo finally taking his dip into Eastern here, and he'll get his Titan's Mitts, which then means he'll be able to join Chelsea in the Dark World in just a minute or two. Ooh! A hammer in the second chest of Thieves Town for Chelsea.
See, like I said, it's totally completable. It's completely done. Like I had it right from the first time when I started talking about it. Thieves Town is definitely completable the first thing you go in here. I don't know why you're correcting me, swear.
You're right. I should have trusted my good friend Langxion. Clearly have knowledge I do not. You got spoiler log over there?
I may be whispering to the seat a little bit.
But yeah, of all the things that she could have found, that's probably the best one, because that also means the big chest is hammer. Like, you need the hammer to get to the big chest. So she will be able to 100% clear this weapon, or clear this dungeon with this weapon, as long as she manages to take out blind. Hammer blind can be a bit tricky compared to the other options.
Certainly a bit finicky, for sure. But, like, the hammer is just so perfect to find in here because every runner who's done rando is always so scared every time you walk in here. Everyone completes it without the hammer if they can, and like it barely ever happens. You barely ever get screwed by the big chest, but it's always kind of like nagging in the back of your mind.
Okay, and so now we see Jullo heading up to Death Mountain. So he is going to sequence break up here. So this is interesting. He's going to put off the Dark World for a little bit. I don't blame him. He's going to get, the old man for an item. He'll be able to check whatever's in Spectral Rock Cave for an item. With the hookshot, he's got East Death Mountain access. That's 8 more items in the Light World. Plus, now that he has Mitts and Moon Pearl, he can pop over to the Dark World over there and get another 6 items. And that's a lot of items really quickly. And while it's all out of logic, any progression he does find can help him kind of deduce the logic and know, like, anything he finds up here isn't going to lead directly to whatever he was supposed to find to get up here in the first place.
I know that like, some people they'll get the Dark World access and they'll beeline straight for the Dark World, but this is actually a pretty Chelsea beelining straight there is a strong play. But I also kind of like the way Jullo is doing this, because if he's going to see a total of 14 items total, with given his item set, he's going to prepare himself. He's going to maybe be able to get some pretty efficient clears in the Dark World. Like if he finds, say he doesn't have the hammer yet, he doesn't know. Say if he found the hammer, or if he found flippers or a fire rod, he could clear Skull right when he gets in there. Just so like it gives him a higher chance of having more efficient clears of the Dark World than Chelsea would come in straight here.
Yeah, absolutely. And then kind of as you just mentioned the hammer, and then it's unfortunate that for him at least that we already know that is in Thieves Sound, because the hammer would absolutely be one of the top things he wants to find. Hammer blocks so many things in the Dark World. Plus, finding it up here would mean that he would have access to Hera, and you'd be able to clear that out for that first crystal. Alright, Chelsea escorting the Maiden to Blind's room over on the right there. Jullo heading into Paradox Cave. On the left, we're going to see 7 quick items here. There's the first 2 pieces of heart. Just got to head upstairs and check 5 more. Oh, I didn't even see Chelsea pick up a sword in Thieves Sound.
No, that's awesome. So Chelsea's going to see here. So I'll let her kind of do the fight first before I start jinxing her.
Yeah, definitely helps with this fight. She's taking a few hits here. This fight is a little scary. The blue mail does help out a little bit. It just means everything only does 1 heart of damage. Normally, if you have green mail running into a head, will do 2 hearts of damage. And so that blue mail probably saved her life there. Paradox Cave, whole lot of nothing on Jullo's side.
Yeah, I mean, worth noting here that Chelsea did find a fairy in a bottle, so she was in pretty safe company here.
Oh, I missed everything in these. These sound loaded. Wow.
Yeah, Thieves Town was a very, very good structure. Oh, shovel up there on the rock. That's an annoying thing. I don't know. It's this disguised item on that ledge.
Absolutely. The fetch quest items like the mushroom and like the powder and the shovel can all be kind of just annoying in general, or the book, because they're just fetch quests. But at least when you find them randomly, it's not that big of a deal. But seeing that there means it's just normally you want to see that there so you know whether you have to go grab that item later or not. And now we just don't even know. And speaking of the book, Chelsea checking the Peg Cave, finding the book, and Jullo checking out Spiral Cave for a bottle of green goo.
I never realized how long this Death Mountain segment just takes to check all of these items, especially bootless.
Yeah, that Spiral Cave check feels real bad when you don't have boots. Jullo's first trip into the Dark World, so he's checking out the map there, seeing which pendants or which dungeons are pendants.
Chelsea's trying to shake this man down for a discount. I did this a lot when I was running. Every once in a while, I forget that there's 80 rupees to play the digging game, so she's going to need to come back.
Yeah, that's really unfortunate. It seems like she's panicking a little bit. She got it. Oh my god. Oh, the mirror in Super Bunny Cave on Jullo's side. Chelsea with the archery game strats. Let's go, dude.
This is a fairly new, with some of the newer inceptions of the newer categories like Inverted, this is where this became very, very popular. Oh my goodness. Look at that archery
100%
skill.
accuracy. Now she comes out with plenty of money for the digging game. Yeah, it's always frustrating when you come to the digging game and don't have enough money. Because oftentimes, you generally just assume you have enough money by the time you have access to it.
Okay,
We saw a Turtle Rock check on Jullo's side. It turned out to be Bombos, which we saw on the library, so we know we're going to need to find boots to get access to Turtle Rock. And there's the ether. So we have all the medallions accounted for.
Oh,
with
the
just
rarely seen
bombas.
mirror shield. Check here. Looks like Jullo's actually going to go get that shovel, which is probably a pretty good idea. But I mean, outside of that mirror, I mean, the mirror is a pretty good check here. Something really great to find. It's going to save him some time with this Smith sequence, but probably not what he was looking for when he came up here for the sequence break.
Yeah, particularly without a sword to back it up. Because with the mirror, he can get up the Tower of Hera now, but without a sword or or hammer, there's no way to damage a molded arm. So we see a save and quit after he cleared out all of Death Mountain there. And started Sanctuary. He's going to head on over into Village of Outcasts and kind of follow Chelsea's route here. The nice thing for him with that mirror is that does make routing Dark World, Overworld a bit more efficient. There's a few locations that require the mirror to check. And so when he starts doing all these locations that Chelsea has already done or got in progress, he'll be able to check just a few more things. And if anything important is in any of those locations, that's going to be a huge leg up.
Yeah, so he's going to have an easier check on the Smith sequence. He's got the purple chest he might be able to bring around Hyrule. He's also going to get the check Sick Kid a little more efficiently if he remembers to do that. So not a bad sequence of plays here.
Oh my god. Whoa!
Good lord, I have not seen a hype cave like that in many, many moons. Holy mo!
That is insane. Okay, so both bows, flippers, all in the back there.
I wonder what dungeon she can do now with that hammer, the bow, and the lantern. I think she's what's an odd saving quit? I would have thought I would maybe a beeline straight to pod here.
Well, she's got that.
Oh, she's got
blacksmith
a second follower. Oh boy.
Yeah. So the thing with the blacksmith is, you got to rescue him in the Dark World and take him home in the Light World. Which ideally you want the mirror for. It makes it really quick and efficient to do. The alternative is you can, pick them up, save and quit, and that'll put you back in the Light World here, and you just walk them home. Which makes it a really slow check, so Jullo will, make up some time here when he does this sequence. The other kind of caveat of having him follow you is he won't follow you into kind of dangerous locations, primarily dungeons. So she's committed to dropping him off before she can explore any dungeons.
Pretty good. I actually, getting hit by chat. I did not know that Kiki will replace the Smith. I have not tried to grab Kiki with the follower. I didn't know the interaction there. That's interesting.
Oh, I didn't know that either. I thought Kiki just didn't spawn if you had the Smith with you.
I mean, with this way, Chelsea's going to be able to check the magic bat. Probably not necessary, but I mean, right now, without the mirror, she won't be able to kind of route Pod and the Eastern Palace nicely together. But like all her signposts are pointing over there. I mean, from what we know right now, she needs a medallion, and an extra sword, and I think that's all she's going to need to complete the seed. If all the information we have stays correct.
Except for Turtle Rock is a crystal, so we need both of those rods.
Wow.
And the medallion we need is bomb. We know where that is. That's on the library, so we need boots. We're going to need both rods, and we're going to need the Cane of Samaria. But other than that, you're very close.
No. She can skip Turtle Rock.
Oh, yeah, 6. I keep forgetting.
It's like one of those things where it's just 3 items she does not need to go. So, like, as it says, so this, the community here sees a very confusing group of commentators.
Yeah,
the second sword here. That's not very nice. No, the 6 and 6 is a very fairly new thing, so it adds such a cool dynamic to routing that you can kind of decide not to get certain items, or just not have to find them to complete the seed. Pretty cool because Turtle Rock has such a high requirement of items that you're gonna need. What, the cane, 2 rods, and I don't know, a much better sword because Trinex is a pain.
Yeah, absolutely. It really depends on how the seed is laid out. Because you only do need 6 of the 7 crystals available. Depending on how it's laid out, you might only be able to get 6 of the 7 crystals. So, yeah, given what we are seeing here, it seems very likely that we probably couldn't even do Turtle Rock if we wanted to.
So Chelsea's going to be able to do her full sweep here. She's going to be able to do absolutely everything she wants. If she finds her mirror, she's going to be able to loop straight up around and kind of probably going to end up doing the same route that Jullo did, but crossing the bridge, beating Hera, and checking the tablet on one fell swoop. So it's going to be a pretty efficient routing of Death Mountain for her. She may not even have to come back up here.
Yeah. She will, once she makes her way over to Super Bunny Cave, this is going to take her a little bit, you know, as we were talking about when Jullo was doing it earlier. You know, walking around without boots, doing Spiral Cave and all this Death Mountain stuff does take a little bit, but she will get that mirror, and then she'll be able to clear all the dungeons she needs to clear to kill Ganon, to get those 6 crystals. But she does need a sword upgrade to actually be able to kill Ganon. Now, Jullo did find one in Graveyard Ledge, but that's kind of an out there location for Chelsea at this point, especially if she doesn't have boots to kind of route in King's Tomb and Bonk Rocks and the other locations there. So meanwhile, Jullo dipping into Thieves Town here, he's picked up his hammer. He'll pick up his Master Sword in here as well. And then it's very likely we'll see him kind of match the routing that Chelsea did, and he'll route down. He'll probably do the full blacksmith chain because he does have that mirror, and he'll route down towards Hype Cave, where he'll end up picking up his bow and silvers and flippers.
I mean, just the idea. So a lot of these 6 and 6 seeds, or like 5 and 5, these kind of things, or fast Ganon seeds, mean that a lot of these runners don't ever find anything more powerful than Master Sword. So the silvers pickup is absolutely crazy. So it's going to do a lot to speed up the Ganon fight, because Master Sword Ganon is a long fight, especially if you're not practicing.
Yeah. And yeah, especially as you mentioned, without those silvers, that last phase takes 24 spin slashes to finish up with Master Sword, and that's very slow. It can be very nerve-wracking, and honestly, that's probably, those silvers are going to benefit Chelsea more than they would Jullo. So I'm sure she's pretty ecstatic she has those.
So we're going to find ourselves in a pretty interesting situation coming up here, because kind of as both these runners are checking, kind of overlapping their footsteps. But Chelsea doesn't have the sword that is required for Gomo, but all Jullo needs to do is slide into Hype Cave, and he's going to have everything he needs to complete the game. So he's going to be able to start completing dungeons at a pretty rapid pace, whereas in Chelsea has the odds that she's going to go check a one-off location like Graveyard Ledge are pretty slim, so she needs to either find another sword, or she might just lose a ton of time just from having to slog through all these dungeons.
Oh my god, there's the boots!
Oh my goodness, that is...
So you do need the Master Sword or better to actually gain access to items locked behind the 2 tablets in the game. Ether Tablet right there and Bombos down near the deck. But as long as you have the book, you can check what's there. And gotta go fast means the boots are there. So that could be bye-bye boots. And yeah, as you mentioned, this is looking a little dicey for Chelsea. She's really got to hope to just kind of stumble into a sword.
Yeah, but with two in the seed, and knowing that you're not checking a heavy, dense location like Turtle Rock, or even going to Misery or Ice, it's looking dicey that she's going to actually find this other sword that is not this other spot. So...
Yeah, and as I mentioned earlier, like, where that sword is on Graveyard Ledge, being mirror locked, it's in kind of an out there location. Oh, there's a fire rod in here as well. Interesting. Yeah, as I mentioned, the boots would make that Graveyard Ledge check a lot more appealing, because there's some boot slots locations around there too. So you can, you know, check like 4 locations instead of just 1. But given that we know where boots are and Chelsea can't get them, that really means it's extremely unlikely she's gonna be checking that Graveyard Ledge anytime soon.
And kind of pointing out for some of the newer runners in here, Jullo executing a perfectly done blind It is a scripted fight, 9 hits with a sword, so if you could just kind of position yourself, the fight goes the same way every time. If the fight gets away from you like it did for Chelsea, it can get pretty dicey, but a really nice fight on Jullo's part.
As a very nice Moldorm fight on Chelsea's side.
Yeah, even with the hammer, that fight can be a little dicey. Moldorm can be kind of difficult to hit with a small hitbox in that hammer, so also a really, really good fight on Chelsea's box.
Yeah, absolutely. The hammer does tempered sword damage, so 3 bashes with the hammer will take down Moldorm. But yeah, the downside to the hammer is it's got a tiny hitbox, and a lot of times when it comes to Moldorm, you like to hold your sword out to kind of defend yourself, but she just deftly maneuvered around him and was able to bash that tail.
Isn't it just so, wow, the
Oh,
flute
no.
climbing up here. That's going to open up a ton of other locations.
Yeah, that flute, as you mentioned, kind of the good thing about Meyer being a pendant was, means that you don't need to worry about the flute. On the other side of the coin now, Chelsea has that flute. She has access to Meyer area. That could just lead to more distractions. However, it also does mean a faster clear for Desert once she grabs the mirror.
That's true. So say if you're in Chelsea's shoes here, now would you choose to check some of these other locations that have been opened up by your flute, or do you think it would be, or would you opt for the play of clearing dungeons you can clear because you have to go through them anyways?
I would say you definitely just want to clear dungeons while checking, especially with Fast Ganon. So with Fast Ganon on, you want to avoid Ganon's tower. So you're going to be looking to find a sword outside of Ganon's tower. So you want to check locations along the way. Once she gets that mirror, I would probably activate that flute and use that to backdoor into Desert. And while you're there, in your need of sword, you might as well check, the Mire Shed and Checkerboard Cave. But I wouldn't be stepping a single part of my body into Mire anytime soon.
Oh, you don't like to just hang out in Mire and do all those rooms for all those keys you could check?
I find Mire a lot of fun, but I don't find it that fun.
You get enough of it in the siege, you have to go in there. I am all sick, especially Samario-less. I am good to go. So both runners are going to be clearing, just kind of stepping over each other's feet here, checking all the checks they've all looked at. I think what interesting where Jullo knows he still needs to make his way down to Hype Cave. So it'd be interesting to see when he actually goes down there. Because right now, if you're Jullo, like what options are open to you? I mean, he has so little information. He doesn't have all that stack of items that Chelsea picked up. So he's just going to kind of do this Dark World loop and hopefully it gets him down to Hype Cave to get his items.
Yeah, as I mentioned, this makes the most sense for Jullo. He's going to do pretty much exactly what Chelsea did, except for he has the mirror as well. So he's going to check a few more locations before he gets to Hype Cave. And I'm sure he's going to go grab this purple chest and just walk it down. He'll check the cave south of the grove there with the mirror. But he'll be in go mode in just a couple more minutes here.
Right, he does have access. He's also going to get a shovel check as well in that grove. Pretty efficient South-Hyrule routing with that mirror. And it kind of harkens back to when we were talking about early in the game where he decided instead of beelining straight for the Dark World, he went to he got to check 14 checks up on the mountain, and it made his clear of the Dark World that much more efficient and allowing him to gain a little more time back on Chelsea.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I was mentioning earlier, a lot of these little things don't really matter one at a time, like one single instance of, losing 20, 30 seconds somewhere. Not that big of a deal, but things start to, but it's also rando. So things swing back and forth. So Jullo bled some time early on and gave Chelsea an early lead, but now he's making up for it by having that mirror and having that extra sword. And so he's going to be in go mode very, very soon. And so the longer Chelsea goes without finding a sword upgrade, the dicier and dicier things are looking.
So if you're just tuning in back with us, this is the the third game between Julloninja and ChelseyxLynn. This is going to decide who's going to go up to finishing into playing against Trinex and finishing out their group, or going losers bracket and facing into its emos. Both runners, if it's about 43 minutes into the seed, we're in a 6-4-6, so they only need to kill 6 of the crystals in order to fight Ganon. It is fast Ganon, so they don't have to go into GT. So right now, both runners are just... So Jullo is is going to be in go mode shortly. We do know the Hype Cave is going to be his go mode, so he's going to make his way over there soon. And Chelsey is just looking for the sword. We did see the second sword up on Graveyard Ledge, so it's going to be a very, very close race. It's been back and forth on that, so it's really exciting stuff to watch here. As Jullo's going to actually be able to check all these other... Having the mirror here, though, is making him check all these unnecessary checks. I mean, they're very efficient for him. He doesn't know that he doesn't need these things.
Yeah, and who knows? We could have found, like, you know, a third sword or something in one of these other mirror lock locations, which would have been even worse for Chelsey and even better for Jullo, but that didn't turn out to be the case. Meanwhile, she's over there in that mire area, kind of doing this route that I predicted. I imagine she's going to go into desert, and then she'll probably check checkerboard cave afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, these are just very quick, very efficient checks. So it's like it's kind of a no-brainer to grab these before she decides to start doing things like because she can do a pretty efficient pod into eastern routing to get a lot of items looked at.
I just thought it is possible that desert is going to be boots locked, which would be kind of interesting.
Well, that would add a very interesting wrinkle to this race. Meaning
We're going to find out in just a second.
Oh,
and there it is. Okay, so Chelsey does know where the boots are, so she just needs to find that sword, and then she can get the boots. And then she'll be good to go. And meanwhile, Jullo clearing out that hype cave, getting that bow, getting that second bow for the silver arrows, getting the flippers, getting the lamp. Like a legit actual hype cave, which is quite rare.
Yeah, it hasn't been hype cave since like version 18, so
yeah.
What? So this just goes to show you the random, like just like by having information, you can be ahead. Like Chelsey doesn't have the sword she needs, but like knowing where those boots are is such a huge step up.
Yeah, especially because, well, we see Jullo going into swamp here. It makes sense. He's got everything to do it. He knows it's crystal, so yeah, and often when you don't have the boots, I don't know, I would almost be tempted if I were him to have gone into desert to find out if I needed the boots. Because now it's likely he's, like, especially full clearing swamp is extremely slow, so it's likely he might check a couple things along the way, but I don't foresee him going to left side swamp. I don't foresee him doubling back for the big chest if he needs to. Yeah, see, he's not even checking that side room there, which is good, because we know that's not where the boots are. But that does mean when he does get to desert and he finds out that he needs the... He's gonna probably have all of these locations that he's left behind, and he's not gonna know where to look. Because I don't see him really doing any extra searches. I don't see him finding those boots when he goes up to Hera, unless he knows he needs boots. So we'll kind of see if he goes where he goes from swamp, because that's going to be a huge factor.
Yeah, this is just definitely one of those things where, like, in your head, like, boots, like, the only reason you possibly need boots is if all the items are shuffled just so that big key is on that sconce. It happens to be so this time, but in his head, he's got to be thinking, oh man, like, I am in the clear, I'm in go mode, I don't have to do turtle route, this is going to be fantastic, I'm going to go mode the rest of this and be...
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, oftentimes when the boots are the only, like, kind of mystery left, like, you might... It's like Schrodinger's go mode, right? Like, as far as he knows, he's in go mode until he gets to desert. And that's kind of just how you have to play it like this when you're in this situation, because it makes more sense. Odds are in your favor that boots aren't required, and if you play as if they are required and they're not, you're gonna lose so much time over someone doing the opposite.
I mean, like, isn't that all of Rando? Essentially, it's like this risk management. Like, the odds are so low that the boots are even required here. Like, it would be insane to play like that. So it's like your point stands. it's just like this is probably like in a vacuum the correct play, but it just kind of burn him a little bit. And like, I mean, all these items that he's leaving behind, he may not even need, so it's like kind of okay.
Yeah, he is checking a couple of these. Oh well, there's some Maria. That's something.
It's like every item that both these runners finds kind of is like one more breadcrumb in the wrong direction.
Yeah, so this is... Yeah, okay, so I was like... Back of my mind, I was like almost ready, like mentally calling this, like, I was like, oh, this is kind of over for Chelsea. But this has actually gotten very interesting now, because the more and more stuff that opens up on Jullo's side here, the more valuable that information for the boots location on Chelsea's side becomes.
Because once Jullo does find, he's going to have to backtrack and triple check all these spots. And the Ether Medallion Hera spot is not, since he's already gone up and cleared most of Death Mountain, it's not a very like lucrative play for him. Like there's so many other more efficient checks he could be doing, like this entire Pod Eastern loop. And that even opens up some of these pendant dungeons as well, like to look and maybe find like better chances on finding this check.
Yeah. But there's a quick and easy, fantastic Argus fight on Jullo's side. Netting him his second crystal from Swamp Palace. We'll see where he decides to go from here.
Yeah, it's like, and I do want to say props to actually landing that silver arrow on Argus in his final phase, because that is not an easy shot. He's a slippery guy.
It does look like he's gonna walk over here and check desert. This is the smart play. So he is going to find out about this boots requirement pretty soon.
But the knowledge is going to be half the battle, because he's still going to need to find it.
Yeah, but it's going to work out pretty conveniently for him, likely, because he's still going to want to focus on clearing, required crystal dungeons that he knows he needs to clear. So we'll see where he decides to go. He might head over and do Pod and Eastern first and full clear that. But it does mean when he does head up to Hera, he will very likely, check that Ether tablet and find the big...
This is actually some pretty good heads-up play and some very efficient routing on Jullo's part by doing Swamp straight into the desert, because like he doesn't have the flute, he doesn't think he's going to get the flute, so this is probably the only time he's ever going to be back around this area. So some really good heads-up routing on Jullo's.
Okay, so yeah, he just checks that one chest, and he sees that it's not a key, and that right there is all he needed to know, that he does, in fact, need the boots. And so now we see him save and quitting, starting in Link's house. Yeah, he's going to head over and do Eastern and Pod, I assumed.
It's very possible he kind of goes the Darkhold here and then moves up that way.
Yeah. Eastern Pod, it just, again, you want to focus on clearing out the completable crystal dungeons that you can clear, and it'll get him a nice amount of checks.
So it's pretty simple.
I didn't even notice that Swamp and Thieves Town were the two dungeons required for this big bomb. So yeah, I really like this on Jullo's side for given what he knows.
Chelsea kind of did all of this pod. There was not really anything lucrative to find in pod at all. Just a lot of time sink clearing the back of it, but she'll be heading down to probably a pretty easy Hell the Sword fight with the Silvers, while Jullo kind of makes this. It's a pretty interesting check. It's a pretty good heads-up play, because I was not even paying attention to our red crystal.
Yeah, like I said, I didn't even notice that. But yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And yeah, I was just about to point out to Phylon in chat there that yeah, the info has changed on Jullo's side. Jullo, when he went into Swamp Palace, was kind of approaching it as if he was in go mode. He was like pseudo go mode, because he has everything he needs other than the boots, which he didn't know he needed at the time. So he checked, you know, the chests in the back that are kind of convenient and quick to check. But now that he knows he needs boots, he can't really skip locations. And so, grabbing that big bomb, taking it up to the pyramid, he gets to check those 2 pyramid fairy locations, which turned out to be junk, and that pyramid ledge location, which also was but convenient routing into pod from here.
Yeah, I mean, if you're Jullo here, are you kicking yourself for leaving some of those places in swamp, or are you kind of just comfortable leaving some of those things?
I'm always kicking myself in rando. But yeah, I'm the kind of person that I would do exactly what Jullo is doing. I would be like, well, I skipped those. I'm going to commit because it's just a waste of time if you're going back. But I would definitely that would be like just nagging me in the back of my mind, like, oh god, what have I done? If boots are in swamp, I've probably just lost this entire race on that one play. Unfortunately for Jullo, that's not the case here. And also fortunately for him, unbeknownst to him though, that Chelsea hasn't found another sword. We know that a second sword is in Graveyard, and that second sword will unlock the boots that are on Ether Tablet for Chelsea.
So, and now we're looking at this weird thing. So they're both doing the pod. Chelsea's going to do Eastern. Unless she finds a sword here, she's going to have to go straight to Swamp Palace. She's going to have to full clear that because she knows she's just looking for this sword that she has no idea what to look for. So she's going to have a pretty slow Swamp Palace as well. But after that, where do you go after that if you find no sword?
Where do you go after that? That's
the $1 million question.
A good
right?
question. That might be when she actually goes up towards Graveyard Ledge. I would definitely start thinking about it because she does have that fire rod that she found in Hera, and Skull Woods is a green pendant, and I believe Jullo checked some of Skull Woods, but I'm not sure Chelsea. So Skull Woods is 2 items in the dungeon itself, plus the green pendant for a third, and then with that mirror, she could, and that cape, she could kind of go over and scope out Bumper Ledge and Graveyard Ledge.
Because we're kind of in this mode, because like if you're Chelsea and you're looking for quick check, Swamp, you're absolutely right. Skull might be the most logical play after that, because nobody wants to dip into Ice Palace. That's absolutely insanity. It just takes so long to clear that dungeon. And Misery Mire the same way. So I think, and without Kane especially, so she doesn't have that yet. So I don't think she's going to end up going over. So this would be interesting routing here. I mean, maybe Armos dropped something off it. Well, I wasn't really counting the items in Easter. I'm not sure if there's an item left available for this.
I wasn't counting either, but when our runners here did get the Titans Miss out of the big chest, they both saved and quit, even though that I'm sure both of them are capable of, going through the dark to get to that vanilla big key location. So I'm assuming, yeah, there's a compass. But that was a quick and easy Armos fight on Chelsea's side, thanks to the silver arrows, netting her 4th crystal. Meanwhile, Jullo's got a full clear pod here. And then he'll head through, kill Hamasaur for his 3rd, and then he'll mirror over right behind Chelsea and get his 4th crystal out of Eastern.
So yeah, not to mention that Chelsea has done a lot of some pretty efficient early game running. She's got several crystals cleared, so she's looking to, once she takes Swamp out, she's just got to do Desert and she'll be all set. It's just, if she can find a sword in Desert left side, I mean not in Desert, just using Swamp, right, she's going to be in really, really good shape.
Yeah, absolutely. This is honestly anyone's game at this point. So this is really, it's really, I mean, ideal situation for Chelsea obviously is that in some of these chests that Jullo skipped in Swamp, she finds a sword. Because Chelsea, yeah, once she finds that sword, she will be in go mode. She knows where the boots are. She can grab those and go finish.
This is the kind of rando I think people show up for. Like, we came in, there was an early lead taken by Chelsea, and then from the information we saw, Jullo pulled ahead a little bit because he had information in the sword, and then the boots being locked kind of put Chelsea back in the lead. This is insanity for a game 3 situation. This is everything I think a rando person wants to see besides Pedestal, but don't ask about it, Chad. We don't want to see it.
Absolutely. This is kind of like, at least for me, this is like an ideal match to like commentate or spectate, as you mentioned, just kind of early on, a lot of crisscrossing in routing, a lot of divergence, kind of back and forth in terms of, assumed lead. And now both of our players are essentially searching for one item, and different item at that. And the first person to find their respective item is going to be at a huge advantage.
And it's so crazy with how these seeds line up, because you can't really begrudge either of these players for making the decisions they made based on the items they found, based on their early routings. It's great that this game is, there's not a lot of mistakes being made, just different routing decisions that are paying off. No real crazy, no outside of the box plays. Both making efficient checks, checking high density locations, just things paying off differently. So this is really exciting to watch.
Yeah, and then the unfortunate thing, though, Jullo almost to Helbasaur here. That'll be a quick fight. Just gotta bash that mask off, and then a single silver arrow will finish off the boss. And then he'll mirror over, clear out Eastern. Again, those silver arrows will make quick work of Armos. And then from there, it's, Hera's the only logical play for him to make. That will net him his, 5th crystal that he has access to. So he's probably not that far off from finding boots.
Yeah, it looks like we're kind of on the inevitability meter is going to be on Jullo, because he basically have to trip over Ether Tablet to get to one of his last. Whereas in Chelsea, she has so many checks open to her, and everything that she gets that's not the sword just opens up other checks that are going to kind of just cloud her routing judgment. So I really hope that she doesn't kind of last location that, so this gets a little.
She's not checking left side. That's fantastic for her.
Well, so if you think about this, though, this doesn't actually guarantee that she won't check left side, because it might be possible. If you need one item, it's always smart to go and kill the boss. And if you plan on checking left side, you do it now, because if you get that item in the back, you don't need to clear the left. Whereas if she does not get that item, then she can go back and clear. Some will opt to not do that as well, but I think this is pretty strong routing if you are only looking for the one item.
Yeah, I mean, you're right, but you can go you can go both, because the downside is if your one item isn't back here, then you're wasting more time by having to retread parts of Swamp. But also, I think the big key is kind of MIA, so she might be hoping to find that in the back here, and then she would dip back in and open up that big chest and go left side.
So she's going to finally key in, and now so she knows the pendant requirements to get into Mire. She now knows that she has total Mire access, so she's got to be thinking, man, is this other sword buried in Misery Mire? And it's like, I have access to two huge pendant dungeons right now that I really don't want to do any part of.
Yeah, she might be considering that, but as I mentioned, I think given the 3 pendant dungeons available to her, Skullwoods with the green pendant just makes the most sense. Because like I said, I don't know, I don't remember her going in, but I could be wrong about that.
I don't think she went in, and I completely agree with you, because she also does have she has that entire Skullwood set that she can do. That's a lot of checks, especially with the green pendant. And she can also loop it around by doing the North Dark World checks. She can go to the Graveyard Ledge, and then from there, she's probably thinking I can do Catfish, and then maybe route down to Sahashwa. So she's got some pretty good loop option open to her after this, but we'll see what decision she decides to make.
And yep, Jullo making quick work on his way towards Armos here. 6 quick silver arrow shots are going to finish off that boss. Real quick, killing the boss in the time that he could have done that a couple more times. The time it's taken Chelsea to fight Argus here, because she's having to resort to the menu strats here.
Menu Argus is one of the worst fights in the whole game. I don't wish this upon my worst enemies.
Yeah, this is absolutely awful. When you have Fighter Sword against Argus, it kind of sucks. Like, you can opt to try to kill the little puffballs by charging up a spin, and as long as you get the double hit on the spin, it'll kill a puffball. But that can cause issues depending on how much you have, how practiced you are on it. Stumbling over my words here. Since hookshotting a puffball into your sword will can interrupt the charge.
And
So the other option is use the hammer, which just involves menuing like 30 times, and it takes forever.
But it's got to be faster than doing fighter sword spin. So Chelsea is going to do what I said. She's just kind of mentioned that she's going to go back and check left side, but it might be too little, too late. Jullo is actually going to end up going, like doing that play you said. This is the last, really like good spot for them to check. So they're going to get their boots right here and know that they're in go mode.
Yeah. As I mentioned, this is his last, completable, full clearable crystal dungeon available to him. Plus, he has this extra check up here. And there's the boots. Go mode for Jullo at 103. So, yeah, unless Chelsea finds a sword right here on left side, it's pretty much guaranteed over. Even if she does find a sword at this point, she's going to be at a disadvantage. So things are looking dire.
It just happens like how things lined up. It just looks like a seemingly innocuous play, like not beelining the Dark World and checking that Death Mountain loop of 14 chests happens to really paid off, because I feel like the mirror find was one of the big differences.
Yeah, absolutely. If we had to boil this down onto the biggest deciding factor here, it was Jullo sequence breaking up to Death Mountain after he'd gotten those mitts and full clearing Death Mountain, Dark World, Death Mountain, and finding that mirror. And again, just getting that more efficient Dark World clearing.
I'm definitely interested to ask them about that, kind of what made them think about, what was their mindset going up there, what kind of eschewing going to the Dark World. I think it'd be an interesting topic. So the only way that this becomes truly an interesting race here is if we find one of these swords on one of these two left side chests.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, as mentioned, I think the most logical play for Chelsea to make after this is to head up to Skullwood, and then hopefully that will lead her over to that graveyard ledge where we know a sword awaits for her. But at that point, it's too little too late. Jullo just snagged his 5th crystal there out of Hera. He doesn't have the flute that Chelsea has, because that was the other item in Hera that he didn't manage to grab. But he would have to go activate it anyway. It wouldn't really be worth his time. So he's just going to dash on down over to the desert, clear that out for his 6th crystal, and then with fast scanning, it's a short trip over that pyramid. So he's really only several minutes away from finishing up the steed.
It looks like swamp was overall non-lucrative, so it looked like the skips that Jullo made were the right call in this instance.
Yeah, that's just a case of Rando being Rando. So as you were mentioning earlier, like a lot of, I don't really think either of these players really made a particularly bad call at any given moment. Just kind of sometimes that's how the pieces fall.
Hope Chelsea kind of might have had a mind slip there that she jumped off. You cannot leave that bomb behind. There's some tricks you can do, but without the boots, they're a little hard to pull off.
Yeah, if you try to dash normally with the boots or jump off a ledge, you drop the bomb, and then it starts that countdown timer to blow. Luckily, she's got plenty of money to just go buy another one. And this could lead her over to Graveyard Ledge. We'll see. She does have that mirror now. She could check this Pyramid Fairy and then opt to walk up to North Dark World.
Oh, that is a long walk for not that many checks when so many are available to her. It is feeling like, even if that is the case, this was one of her the decision she made here for the couple of checks. Like, she would have had to beeline straight for that Graveyard Ledge for it to have kind of ultimately mattered in the scene. Unfortunately, we kind of knew that this seed was going to end up being this way. It became a kind of a spot of whoever checks it first kind of thing, inevitability being on Jullo's side. So overall, Chelsea had a pretty good lead early, had some very efficient routing, got a lot of crystals down fairly quickly. Just that final sword, and these swords they kind of suffer from ice rod syndrome, right? They could be anywhere. Like, so your checks, like, you have no direction on how to check them. You're just kind of doing them. So.
Oh man, seeing her walk up here, and she's gonna walk all the way over here to Catfish instead of hook shotting over and checking that graveyard ledge, which it makes sense if you're gonna walk up here, but it hurts a little bit just knowing the location of that sword.
I mean, because being at 108 in this situation, like knowing, she's got to be knowing that the seed is got to be coming pretty close to an end, unless the sword's in a really unopportune location. Catfish have a sword? No? Yes, no?
I think we...
Couple bombs.
We didn't see that.
Nothing there here.
Oh yeah, and then there is... I totally forgot about this waterfall check here.
This is the better of the two checks, if you're going to make it. Sadly, it does not really pay out for her in this instance.
Yeah, as you mentioned earlier, this race really came down to just each of our runners here searching for an item, and inevitably, Jullo was going to find his just based on the way the seed was. Whereas Chelsea's one item, that sword on Graveyard Ledge, is just in a terrible spot, and so she was really going to need to kind of luck out and find another sword here. But given the settings, it's very likely that our other two missing swords are in like Ganon's Tower or Turtle Rock or, you know, one of these pendant dungeons. AKA a lot of places, like just a bunch of places that our runners don't want to go to.
Oh yeah, this is it's difficult because of all of those. Like I said, those pendants those are the bane. Those are leprosy. You don't want to be anywhere near those things. So I mean, like you said, like you called it pretty nice. Chelsea needed to come all the way over to Skull Woods to make some efficient checks, but it's just not going to end up working out for her.
No, she's gonna full clear Skull Woods here, get that green pendant off Maw, and then hopefully she'll go over and check Graveyard Ledge, but she could also just opt to Mirror and Flute to turn in that pendant. But meanwhile, we do have Jullo entering that Ganon fight. Master Sword Ganon here. It's going to take 12 charge flashes for these first two phases here. Thankfully, we did have that double bow hype cave, so he does have silver arrows to speed up the final phase of the fight.
So Jullo does get the fight.
A nice spot.
Oh, I do like that spot for this. So this for the fight. So Jullo is equipped with a couple bottles, one with a fairy, one with a green potion, and half magic and a cape. So this is of the safer of the Ganon fights you can be having as well. So using all the tools available to him, which is very, very smart in a fight. If you die, you lose a lot of time, especially Master Sword.
Yeah, absolutely. And then making heavy use of that cape. It's really it's convenient in general if you're a little dicey on your Ganon fight, but it makes a huge difference on this Master Sword Ganon just because it makes it really easy to get in there with those charge flashes. Whereas once he gets to this phase 2 and he starts doing the fire bats and his fire ring, you have to really approach him in a very specific way to be able to maximize your slashes.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is anyone who can kind of put a good time on the Ganon fight is pretty good. It's cool because like having the silver arrows does mean that he gets to spend more magic on the front side of the fight, the far more dangerous part of the fight with the fire bat. Doing pretty well, showing kind of a familiarity with the fight and knowing how much magic. So it's nicely done.
Yeah, and then this is probably something could have mentioned a while ago once we found out about the settings. Given the 6/6 fast Ganon settings, I feel like those kind of settings are very likely to lead to a Master Sword Ganon situation, which definitely favored him from the get-go. which is why those silvers we mentioned earlier would have been a nice find for Chelsea. Unfortunately, just missing out on that Master Sword for so long.
Ooh, that second shot kind of get eaten by the darkness there. It's a little suspect on the game's part, but overall a pretty nice fight. Let's get some GGs in the chat for Julloninja for a well played and pretty well executed scene.
Yep, and that does make Jullo our winner of the best of 3 here. Wow, that is loud.
That was a very quick changeover on the sound there.
But yeah, Jullo finishing with an SRL official time of a 1:13.13, taking the victory 2-1 over Chelsea, and he will move on to the winners finals to face Trinex. The winner of that match will secure a spot in the main bracket, and the loser of that match will drop down to the mini loser bracket, where Chelsea will now go down to and face Imosaru.
Yeah, it's kind of exciting that these little mini brackets kind of leave it that you're playing a lot of best 2 out of 3, which is nice, and then you also get a second chance to kind of keep in the game. So it's definitely not over for Chelsea. She still has an opportunity to make her way out of brackets.
Yeah, there's that unfortunate thing where I mentioned that she might opt to, just mirror and flute and turn in this green pen. Would have really obviously preferred to see Chelsea stroll over and check bumper cave ledge, because I'm not sure if she checked that earlier. But definitely check that graveyard ledge. Get 2 little checks there, and then ultimately that would have found her Master Sword. Let's see if I want to pull Jullo in. Okay, he's gonna. Okay.
Yeah, so
you already got it covered, huh?
Yeah, we'll be pulling Jullo in shortly, in a couple minutes for an interview. But right now, kind of gonna see how Chelsea wants to decide to finish out this seed.
Yeah, as you mentioned, I actually do really like the format here of these little mini brackets, best of 3. Because you face your opponent in the 7/7 no fast cannon settings, and then you get a second chance, and you can kind of adjust some settings, try to bend things in your favor a little bit. And then if you do lose, you drop down to the loser's bracket. So there is a shot at redemption. So Chelsea does have an opportunity to stay in this tournament.
I also do like the idea that for your game 2 and 3, you can kind of lead to a bit of counter pick. It's not quite as volatile as previous tournaments where you could go from doing an open seed to a inverted, and it would just be totally different skill set. So I do like that there's small variations. It's just like leads to some different flexing different parts of the brain, like compass checks and even standard as opposed to open, fast scan, and that kind of thing. It seems like I'm seeing a lot of fast scan and open. No love for Ganon's Tower in a lot of these seeds.
Yeah, I just right before this I had my game 1 against my opponent, and I lost. And my setting that I'm gonna change is fast cannon. Not as any reaction to game 1 or anything. It's just ultimately I really dislike that big key hunt in Ganon's Tower. I really hope that the devs opt to consider having an option for just having the door in Ganon's Tower open, kind of something like the Ocarina of Time randomizer does, because I really like the execution component of climbing Ganon's Tower, but that big key hunt is
can lead to a lot of feel bad locations. Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, it looks like we have Julloninja in chat here with us. GG's.
Well, bit of a hearing issue here, so we'll what we have to do. So Jullo, GG, sir. How are you feeling about that?
I'm not too bad. That was the convenient routing, despite all the time sunk, having to go back up the mountain.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's just kind of the pieces fell into place for you at the end there. Early on, and actually even through a lot of the mid game, it became kind of like it could be anyone's game. especially because Chelsea did have knowledge of where the boots were, and she knew that desert was boots locked before you were, but she's been hunting for that master sword. So that was probably the single biggest deciding factor, is you opting to kind of sequence break your way up to Death Mountain and finding the mirror up there, which led directly to that master sword.
So I mean, so Sorb and I were kind of battling back. We're kind of like discussing different routing and stuff like that. And like he said, the mirror was a huge factor in what you kind of how this played out. It gave you some inevitability that you were eventually going to go up to each tablet and get your second sword, or get the boots. Matter. So when you have all those items, right? When you finally got your ability to go, you didn't go to straight to Dark World. What made you think that you wanted to go up to Death Mountain to make those checks instead of going straight to the Dark World?
I mean, I was kind of hoping to find weaponry, because I didn't really want to go to Thieves' Town without a sword, at least. So I just decided Death Mountain, and I have the mitts from Eastern, so I'll just go Dark Death as well and hope I get something from it.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because obviously Thieves' Town, very ironically, having both a hammer and a sword. How were you feeling once you stumbled across both of those items in Thieves' Town?
I was happy it had a hammer, because I didn't want to have to, walk around the dark overworld loop and be like, oh, the hammer's in, the statue room I skipped in Skull Woods or something.
So kind of along those lines, so you were rolling through. You kind of got into this like weird pseudo go mode spot. You didn't have boots, but you had once you got all of Hype Cave done, you had everything you needed to finish the Seed Sands TR. How did you, after you found out that Desert was boots locked, how did you feel about your decision to kind of strand some of those chests in Swamp?
I figured I'd just get back to them once I'd finished the other crystals, because I didn't want to couldn't touch any of the other pendants at the moment, so I was just like, yeah, I can go back there, and then I just, mosey on up back to Desert if I've left boots in Swamp.
I was like, now throughout the seed, did you feel like you were behind? Were you ahead? Were you troubled by kind of like how you're routing the Light World, because you kind of got on into the Dark World a little late? Did you feel behind, ahead at any moment of the seed? How did you feel as the seed was?
At the start, I probably did feel behind, because I didn't fake flipper at all, which meant that was on my mind, and I got Pearl into mitts in friggin' Eastern, which was kind of annoying, because I had to do bombs escape. Well,
oh yeah, the front of the escape was bombs. At least you had the hook shot to stun enemies.
Yeah.
But it definitely, I'm sure, kind of felt a little bad, since it's bomb escape is a bit slow and you didn't get anything of value for it.
I mean, yeah, it felt slow, and I'm glad my dark runes with just hookshot went rather well.
Oh yeah, I mean that you were stumbling around a bit there, but it was definitely well executed.
Yeah, once I saw,
it can just be so hard to locate that chest when you don't have good like items for tracking your position.
to just get lucky with which side you grab onto with the hookshot and not getting knocked away.
There's so many rats and things down there that can really screw you up.
Oh, I did want to.
Saw...
Oh, I'm sorry. What? Oh yeah. Okay, so I did want to touch on the settings here. So you won the first game against Chelsea, and then did she change it to 6-6 for game 2, or did she choose the fast game settings? Okay, 6-6, and then you chose what was the impetus for choosing fast Ganon for this game 3 here?
I didn't want to do a hookshot hunt.
That's as good enough a reason as any. That's a very good point.
It's like so kind of what we have. So you're gonna end up going ahead and facing Trinex in your next round, and that's gonna be a standard seed. Like, are you hoping? Like, are you gonna go again? If so, say if you have a chance to change your settings again, would you make another fast Ganon call, or do you? Was it just kind of in this best out of 3? Was that your decision?
It's just gonna be my decision going ahead. If someone changes it to 6/6, I'm gonna put Fast Ganon on. If they can deal with finding swords or whatever else they have to for changing it to 6/6 on me.
No, so
Yeah,
no, you go ahead, Swerve.
I was just gonna say you handled that Master Sword Ganon fight very well, and I was kind of speculating that when you have these 6/6 fast Ganon settings, it's pretty likely you're gonna end up with Master Sword Ganon. So do you feel really comfortable with that fight? And were you how excited were you with that Hype Cave treasure trove?
Oh god, that is like the first actual Hype Cave I've seen in a long time.
We were saying the same thing.
Like, okay, I can do everything I need to, and then find out I need boots, but it was Hype Cave I've actually ever seen.
There it is. Chelsea finding her Master Sword. You can see some rage flashes.
Yeah,
And now she's just got to go over, clear out desert, and go take on the big pig. So she shouldn't be too far off from finishing as well.
My Ganon fight, it was kind of bad. I was trying to eat a sandwich during it because I got really hungry.
There has to be a better time to eat a sandwich that entire seed than mid Ganon fight with a master.
Look, I had the sandwich sitting there and I could smell it the entire race, and I wanted to eat it.
No, dude, I get it, man. I've tried to do some rando races. Once you get hang, it becomes real distracting.
And I did sort of pop in at the end and chat, and to answer this question, I don't know Kane's strats.
Oh,
So
yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. You can use some well-placed Samaria blocks to force double spins on Ganon if you have Master Sword Ganon. I have no idea how to do those either, but it's cool when you see people do it.
Yeah, that strat is very, very precise to do any of those things. It's probably worth learning just the regular Master Sword fight, because the low percent fight is, I think, something like 40 seconds slower than the temperature. So it can be. There are general strats that are not Samaria block strats. The Samaria block strats are very, very magic intensive if you're still trying to keep everything ready to go.
I mean, it probably also would have been a lot worse because I'm eating a sandwich.
And it's true.
So hard to place the block correctly.
I was like, at Chelsea fight, I mean, Jullo, you are more than welcome to stick around. Or if you want to go and end up eat your sandwich, we can let you go. I don't know if you had any final last words you wanted to impart with us, or if you want to hang out with us until Chelsea.
I'll just hang out. I already finished my sandwich. That was my entire Ganon fight.
Good. I was going to say, I wasn't quite done with the interview because I had a very important question. What kind of sandwich is it?
I had peanut butter and Nutella on it.
Oh, baby. Yeah. Might I suggest a small addition to your sandwich repertoire is the peanut butter that with Nutella. Have you ever tried grilling that thing? Like a grill? Fantastic to say.
I think I have, but I also didn't have the time to do so because I made the sandwich like sort of a couple of minutes before I had to really start the seed.
Yeah, not to mention, if you're already getting enticed by the smell to begin with, if that thing was grilled, we probably would have just seen you sitting in Link's house for like the first 5 minutes of the race. Maybe even longer, because I haven't tried that. I've heard tale, and I can't help but imagine it's very messy.
I don't think I care about messiness, like carpet underneath me, but then I just kind of save it, maybe. Then it might go cold. That sounds like a very hard decision to make.
Yeah, the sandwich talk is getting me hungry, but Chelsea there did
Soon,
grab her
Swerve,
6th
soon.
crystal.
Yeah, so
And-
Chelsea's finishing up her final desert fight, so she's heading over to the portal to get herself up to fight Ganon. Hopefully, with a little bit of NMG background, Chelsea should be able to make some pretty short work of Ganon. This is like the only part of the fast Ganon stuff where I hate that you actually have to do this entire walk around all the way. This takes forever. I say we petition to build a bridge, just for the fast Ganon people.
Well, I mean, if you just kill Aghanim, then you just walk across that bridge.
That's not a bad idea.
Think about the time save.
So, all right, so now with the sign, right? So if you're in like a seed, so this is independent of this tournament, right? So if you're in a place where you get to, do you value going to that sign to find out how many crystals you have to?
Oh, if you have it set to like random, absolutely. Like if it's set to like a random crystal number, or you're doing, you know, those growing in popularity mystery seed, that knowledge. I mean, knowledge is always power in rando. But like the biggest knowledge to have is, you know, what are your actual goals of the seed? Like, how many crystals do you need to get into GT? How many crystals do you need to kill Ganon? Do you need to clear GT to kill Ganon? Because like if you don't know that stuff, like you're just gonna end up full clearing the game when you might not have to. Ooh.
Yeah, outside of that last spot,
pummeled by bats.
Yeah, so some questionable bat decision here, but she does have a fairy. But you could tell that she has a little bit of experience with the fight outside of this right here. Early in the Trident phase, she was doing some manipulation of the Trident hits and the Trident spins. It took a couple unlucky shots in the bat trying to get an extra spin in, but she's doing okay.
And again, this Master Sword Ganon fight. There we go. I was just about to mention the cape. The cape, I guess that mentioned when Jullo was fighting Ganon. Always helpful against Ganon if your Ganon fight's a little. But when you have to hold out your sword to charge up the spins just to even damage them, it really shows its value.
Yeah, in the Master Sword fight, that you do want to take care not to like carry your poke towards Ganon. Your poke does no damage, so you will bounce off and not get a spin.
Yeah, and then as I mentioned again, when Jullo is fighting, when he's doing that fire ring, you really have to approach him from you know, a specific angle, like the bottom right or the bottom left, depending on which way the ring is situated, and just get just close enough for the spin to hit him to actually be able to squeeze in as many spins as possible. Whereas the cape means you can just walk up and approach from any angle. Alright, there's our first 2 silver arrow shot. Three, 4, and done.
Finally, the pig is done after a lengthy sword hunt. Chelsea should be walking across the finish line here and finishing with a time with a 1:31:37. So GG's in the chat for Chelsea.
I'd buy that for a rupee.
And then hopefully
Talking about Jullo's sandwich, of course.
Oh, of course. Now I'm super hungry. This is all your fault, both of y'all.
Dude, it's chill. I'll just go get food and we'll watch Star Wars after this.
That's a fantastic idea. We'll have to see if Chelsea's in on this. And we are joined here by ChelseyxLynn here. GG on the seed. Had a bit of a rough ending. How did you feel about that whole situation?
Hi guys. Well, sometimes you just get randoed.
Sometimes rando's gonna rando.
So we're going to start talking about Chelsea. So what happened? So you both had a pretty early round here. You ended up getting the mitts first before Jullo did. And you ended up going beeline for the Dark World, taking care of all of that. What happened was that Jullo went up to, he sequence broke the Death Mountain and went and ended up finding the mirror down there, which made sure that he went and checked his first sword prior. So he had both swords and was looking for the boots for his go mode item, which ended up being kind of the difference in your seed. Like, now we were talking about how we think that the routing on both player side was really was exceptional for what information you had. Like what makes, when you're in that situation, what makes you beeline straight for Dark World as opposed to like checking like a sequence broke item or something like that?
I just thinking, going over to sequence breaking, there's a big possibility that there was going to be nothing on the mountain, just because I couldn't technically get there yet. So I didn't want to waste my time going up there and checking all those things when it could potentially be nothing. So I wanted to get over to the Dark World and get all those checks out of the way, see what I needed to beat, crystal-wise, all that fun stuff. And I did try to sequence break at first, and I got really
just gonna mention that.
I got really lost, and then I ended up going into Agony Cave immediately after being lost, and I got that Moon Pearl, and I was like, all right, guess I know what I'm doing now. So yeah, but it ended up being really good, going into Thieves Town and then finding the hammer and being like, okay, I can at least beat this now. And then finding my one little sword that got me through for like an hour and a half almost.
Yeah, there is some stacked locations here. There's that Thieves Town with both the hammer and a sword in it, as well as a fairy in a bottle, which you did make use of in that Ganon fight there.
Yeah,
and then also that hype cave with both bows, a lamp, and flippers.
Yeah, that gave me a good giggle. I was like, whoa. It's a real hype cave.
For the first time in
You're
years.
like,
I've never seen one.
The randomizer must have bugged.
I know, I'm like, that seed's broken. But you know what wasn't in hype cave? A freaking sword.
Oh my goodness. So we actually thought that the whole situation shifted over to your end, because once he found a second sword, we were like, oh man, this is like really bad for Chelsea. But then you found out that desert was locked, and then you also knew where the boots were. So we were like, oh my goodness. So if Chelsea finds any of these other swords, like she's gonna run away with this. But the time kind of started ticking against you, because he has to go to Hera, and you have to trip over Ether Tablet. So it ended up being a very interesting scene, very back and forth, where you both made some pretty good decisions, just kind of randoed the both of you.
Yeah, I can't believe. Oh, sorry.
I was gonna say, yeah, it's just kind of the way the pieces fell. Didn't work out in your favor, because where that second sword was just a terrible spot. Particularly after you've already done a lot of the Dark World like you did before you found that mirror, whereas Jullo had the advantage of having the mirror in the first place. And so you had the knowledge that you needed, and you were just looking for that sword, and he was just looking for the boots. And unfortunately, the other two swords were, either in Turtle Rock or one of these remaining pendant dungeons or GT. And so just, things didn't work out in your favor. But you, other than that, routed pretty well and you played it well.
Yeah, I mean, I sad thing is right after, I don't think it would have made a difference because it was a decent amount of time. But after I did Catfish and the Waterfall Cave, I considered going back into the Dark World. But I don't think it would have made a difference at that point. I think I was a little too far gone. But yeah, unfortunate. I can't believe there wasn't a single sword. in my entire travels. Like, I was like, all right, there's a very good chance. I knew there wasn't any more items in Eastern, but there was Pod, and there was Swamp Palace, and like Pyramid Fairy. Like, there was all that stuff. All that stuff for it to like just possibly land, and just it was in Graveyard Ledge. So unfortunate, but it'd be like that.
So unfortunately, so the way that works is like you're not completely out yet. So that means that you're gonna what's gonna happen here, as we've kind of discussed, that Jullo's gonna end up passing on. He's gonna end up facing Trinex in the winners portion of this bracket. Chelsea's gonna drop back down, and but she's gonna end up having probably a pretty good fight with Imosaru to end up having, and whoever wins that match is gonna go on to face the loser of the Trinex and Jullo battle. So you may there may be another battle with Jullo in the cards for you. But both of you still have a lot of rando to play after this.
Yeah, I'm really, really, really stoked to go up against my girl Imosaru. I threw away on purpose, guys. I really wanted to battle it out with Emo. Yeah, I knew where that sword was. I knew it was in Graveyard Ledge. I knew the whole time, obviously.
No big deal.
But yeah, it was a good time. I enjoyed the seed. I didn't enjoy not being able to find the sword, but otherwise it was fun. Jullo, how was your sandwich?
My sandwich was pretty great.
Good. I heard you talking about it after I finished. I recommend not grilling it, but throwing some bananas on it. That would be pretty good.
Ooh.
I unfortunately have no bananas, so I cannot
What
do
the
that.
heck? All right, well.
Why even have it, really?
But yeah, GG's. Good luck against Trinex in the next round. Maybe I'll meet you again. Maybe I won't. Who knows?
I'll let you face Trinex so you can face everyone in the group.
Oh, yay.
What a good guy he is, dude.
Yeah, that's so nice. No, those will be fun matches to watch. So I'm rooting for you.
All right, Swerve, you got anything else for us, bud?
No, I don't think so. Again, that was just a excellent game on both of your guys' parts, and it was a pleasure to watch. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, for sure. Like the ending time did not denote how close the race actually was. The one sword did kind of make that gap pretty big, but it was actually very close the whole time. So it was very, very exciting to watch and very exciting to comment. Thank you both for that. And so on that,
at least be sorry.
No, keep going. What were you gonna say?
I'm just glad it was at least a good watch. I'm glad that it was, a close enough until it all fell apart race.
All right, so on that note, we are not going to keep the rest of the world here waiting to eat their respective. Now they're all going to go get the sandwich that Jullo had. Please drop a follow for both of our runners, Julloninja, twitch.tv/Julloninja over for Jullo, and twitch.tv/ChelseyxLynn. Make sure you're following our boy Swerve with those great pipes on the mic here. Make sure you grab Spam with Sobi on the tracking as well. And while you're at it, while you're hitting all those follow buttons, get Speed Gaming 1 through 6 for all the hot rando content. And they have a ton of other tournaments going on right now as well. And hit those ALTTPR randomizer tournaments as well. So right now, I want to thank Swerve for commentating with me. It was an absolute blast. Chelsea and Jullo for putting on a show, and Spam with Somebody for tracking way down there. And whoever's streaming, you're a boss. I love you. Thank you very much for watching, guys. And I hope you guys have a fantastic night and enjoy the rest of your evening. See you guys later.
Yeah, good night.
Night, guys. Thanks for commentating. Love you.
Commentating, guys. Good luck
Thank
against Emo.
Thanks. Good luck against Trinex.